All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Northern Arena Hearthstone Tournament. I'm Noxious, and with me is Purple. We're just done casting another match. We've got for you SilentStorm versus ElementZero coming right up.
Yep.
So we saw SilentStorm yesterday
And
play some really interesting decks.
he played a really janky control warrior.
You say janky, but it won. So
won.
surely.
My definition of janky has no negative connotation.
Okay, so you just mean it's a
different.
deck that you just
It's
don't
very,
expect.
It's different, special in its own unique way.
What was interesting about it, basically, like to you that you just.
The most interesting part is there's a copy of Yogg-Saron at the top end. And when you play Yogg-Saron, of course, like cards like Bloodacre, cheap spells,
Sure.
why not?
Yeah, it just makes
We
sense.
have the he uses loot hoarders in there. It's an Enzoth control warrior.
We didn't see Enzoth, did we?
We have to assume, no?
We must assume
he was
there.
playing loot hoarder. He was playing the 2/3 Infestator.
Yep.
There's no way you run loot hoarder and Infestator and not run the Zoth, right?
So it's an Azoth Yogg-Saron control warrior, which
Yep.
uses spells that are unorthodox
Yep.
for the control
And
warrior
we're seeing,
archetype.
like the 1/1 pirate in there, which is like
Oh yeah, the little
yeah,
the 1-mana 1/1 that gives you a hook. The N'Zoth's
Yeah.
first mate.
yeah.
I guess if you're playing N'Zoth, you need his first mate with it. So
I don't know.
Play the reasoning.
That deck was like really, really cool.
I hope we get to see it again.
Oh
and,
my
It comes
God.
out okay.
That's brilliant.
What is?
The Zoth and the Zoth first mate.
Yeah, you need to bring both together. You need the first mate if you got the captain.
This is why I need to learn the name of the cards.
That's
so
what
I
happens.
can be more successful.
You can't just call it a 1-mana that brings out a 1/3 weapon. That's no longer a fun card.
My description of cards instead of learning names. The pirate guy.
The auto win 2-drop. Oh, you mean Totem Golem? Yeah, that's the one. So it turns out SilentStorm's going to be opening up with the Shaman against the Warrior from ElementZero.
Yeah. Don't quite remember what kind of build it is, but
We know it's Dragon Warrior from ElementZero.
Oh.
I'm just not sure what SilentStorm was running. Looks like Spirit Claws or something along those lines.
so keeping ferals is not very good in this matchup, especially with already the Totem Golem. You just don't want to play. You just don't want to play Totem Golem, and then because then you can't play feral. So then it's turn 4. So Totem Golem, you want like the 7/7.
I guess so, yeah. You want to be curving out. That's going to be a mid-range list, it turns out,
Yeah.
topping up at Fire Elemental for the time being. So I love that with the, like, it's so soon after the last wing of Karazhan that we're not sure if all those cards are yet good enough to be, you know, in the core of deck list. But people have been experimenting with them in this tournament.
I'll tell you what, though. If there was a coin Alex draws as champion, and then you just totem and roll spellfire, it's really good.
It happened to me. Oh, that would have done it too.
Yeah, that would have been insane.
You got to disguise that guy. Don't show it.
Not yet.
So the upside of Spirit Claws is
I wonder
mostly a
why-
mid-range list, right?
Why
When you
did
play
he
Double Drake.
Why did he play the 1/1 there instead of playing like Finley? Playing something that just didn't die on board.
I
Not
think
too
he
sure about this
wants
play.
his weapon set up, but to combine it with other sources of damage.
I think this has to get executed. I guess you can just champion trade.
I like the execute. I mean, you could go Alex Strada's champion coin execute,
I don't like using the coin
but
like
it's
that.
kind of awkward.
I think if you're going to execute, it's just actually just the Finley.
Not good enough. I mean, you do keep the coin for power plays.
Yeah, like your biggest tempo swing in the deck is Corruptor, which is on 5.
I was going to
so
say
you
on
could-
turn 4, yeah.
You can also like Korkron Elite type stuff. Charging and like taking a value trade is always like a pretty big tempo swing.
Yeah. The issue with the current board state is the moment you get like a combination of 2 minions coming from the Shaman, it just gets really clunky. And
So
he's going to go for the
yeah.
Alex Strada's champion play.
And he's just like, please don't spell power me.
Well, he knows that there's only a 25% chance, unless there's the one of Blood Mage Thalnos, which there is. And at the moment, it looks pretty sweet as well for SilentStorm, because he gets to keep 4 mana open on 4 for Tuskar Totemic and Lightning Bolt together,
Yep.
which is really
And
sweet.
you get that overload out on 4.
Yep.
So you try to not get overloaded on 5, and then you can play Viral on 6.
Yeah, and the Frothing Berserker just looks like it's going to go uncontested.
Yep.
Like you're going to have to swing your weapon into it, the last durability, as well as the bolt.
That's okay. That weapon got a lot of value, actually.
Even the 1
So-
damage just does so much.
So this is like really, really interesting. So if you
Ah, what a tough turn.
if you Totem Golem Bolt this turn, you end up with exactly 3 for Tuskar, and you get all that Overload mechanic out of the way.
But the deck does run some ways to make that bolt a bit better, maybe later. Just don't think there's any. Oh, goodness gracious.
Well, I was right. He did play Totem Golem this turn.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good play. Turns out to not matter whether or not the Overload hits a bit later. But the way he played it is basically Fire Elemental is going to be coming out on 6. Perfectly fine. And you were alluding to the Overload getting out of the way. That's what it was for.
Yeah,
or would have been
exactly.
for.
And with this play, he's absolutely just fine. He can just actually just play Tuskar again next turn. And that Totem Golem will come on turn 7 or a bit later than that.
Yeah, we're looking for a ping here, I imagine, but these are not the pings you're looking for. Druid would have given him 2 damage to kill the Tuskar Totemic.
Well,
Dagger Mastery overrides the hook.
Your opponent's actually at 20.
You
and
could.
you have Grom. I know that's like looking very far ahead in the game.
Is it really that far ahead, though?
But how do you... That's 4 or 5 turns.
Yeah.
But how else do you actually win this game?
Based on the outcome from this Tuskar Totemic,
You're going to get outboard controlled.
I don't think there's a way you win unless you just start considering the shove play. I just think it's correct.
That's just the word of the day.
Yeah, shoving today has been kind of a trend. Trending today in Hearthstone. Going fade.
He's really going to need to pick up... Oh.
Well, good trades there. If he
Double-
wants to take value trades.
Yeah, you definitely play Tuskar this turn. And Healing Totem's like...
The nuts. I mean,
what you want.
It's Stoneclaw is fine. Second Totem Golem is fine.
That's the worst.
That's the absolute worst, because now a ghoul would clean up everything if you take value trades.
Maybe you just don't full value trade.
Maybe you just
You definitely
don't trade.
You definitely...
I mean, I guess the Corruptor scares you, but there's only
yeah.
2 cards in hand.
I guess it's actually pretty reasonable to go face.
You could kill the Finley with the 3-2 and then just go face.
Yeah.
That way the Searing Totem...
It's just a hook,
doesn't-
right? As a weapon?
Yeah, the hook will take care of your 3-2. You could use the Totem Golem even to trade. That's possibly...
Yeah, all your guys die to Ghoul. Yeah, this is fun.
Ghoul cleans you up. That's what it does. Blood to Iker is a pretty good card in this spot, but it's not a Ghoul.
I think you're saving that for Gramage.
So Hero Power, attack with Fairy enables a 9/9 next turn.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I don't mind that play at all, but how much is getting a 2-2 on board
I
worth?
guess you can like kill the Totem Golem and the 3-1.
But then you don't enable the 6/6.
Yeah. You're in a really, really bad spot no matter what you do here.
So here's a question for you. Assuming you've seen what you've seen coming from SilentStorm, do you know if it's mid-range or aggro? Based on this, I can't say.
Just based... If
Blood
I
Mage?
if I was like looking at this objectively, the Lightning Bolt usually is an aggro card, but because of the new weapon, you play Blood Mage, and Lightning Bolt's very good with Blood Mage. So it's like very, very hard to make a read.
I agree. I don't mind the play of just killing the 3-1 with the weapon. I think that's acceptable. The issue is the one of Blood to Iker. I'm just... Is that really the better target? You just give him a value trade on that.
There was no good target.
Yeah.
The issue. Well,
I mean, I guess the Ghoul is live.
which
even
fire
more live.
elemental do you play?
The top decked one, so you disguise the first one.
SilentStorm disagrees.
SilentStorm doesn't know what tilt is. Right, well, it looks like going face
Yeah.
is the place.
There's 13 on board, and there's 13 health. Makes a lot of sense to me.
So the way you win is by just playing the 9/9 and hoping there's no answer, no
Yeah.
Stoneclaw, and then possibly you pick up a follow-up, but that... is that
9,
it?
10.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, the
Exactly
fire elemental
lethal.
was already lethal as well. Yeah. I think you have to like go back to that game and the turn where, I think the dragon where like kind of slipped up out of the gate, where on turn 1 he played like a 1 health minion into a 1 attack
weapon.
Yeah, and
I
then
could see that, yeah.
and then instead of just playing his Sir Finley.
Which would have lived unless spell damage came down.
Yep. And then on turn 2, he tempo executed Totem Golem, which I think was a fine play at the time. But then he decided to use the coin. So that's just like...
A lot of little turns that made the Dragon Warrior never curve
Yeah.
as good as the Shaman. But that Tuskar Totemic, bringing out Totem Golem, essentially
Was a game
locked
changer
out...
for sure.
Yeah, it essentially locked out the Warrior from even coming back on tempo.
Yeah, kind of like not a good turn 4 play, not a good turn 5 play.
Everything's kind of awkward in that spot. So, tempo...
I'm impressed with how aggressively SilentStorm actually played.
I think when there's no more armor up, and you know the guy's trying to race you, force him to make trades.
Right.
Warrior just doesn't do it well right now. It's a very good line that he took, and he's going to be queuing up his Freeze Mage against what should be...
Freeze Mage?
Well, that's what we... not Freeze Mage, sorry. The Tempo Mage that we saw yesterday.
Casino
Value
Mage.
Mage-ish.
Well, 2 Mana Worms is the optimal amount of Mana Worms to draw.
But the Fire War Axe goes 1 for 2 on these guys.
Yeah.
So
When you're keeping double Mana Worm, you kind of hope he doesn't have that Fire War Axe card.
do you ever throw back in Zaw's first mage when you got the War Axe, or is it just okay to drop and threaten like a Babbling Book?
Does kill Babbling Book.
It does kill Babbling Book. I just don't like the card when I've got the War Axe. It feels kind of clunky.
I don't think it's definitely not the matchup the card is in the deck for sure.
So it's a hard call. I mean, it's a 1-drop, one of the 2 that you've got in the deck. So I can't fault him for wanting to keep it, but I might just push. Although you represent Axe if you push.
Doesn't attack.
Yeah, you represent Axe if you push. So maybe he's like more...
That's just wrong.
Squeamish about playing minions into it.
Like, you have a War Axe, you're going to override this weapon.
Well, you might get a Blood to Ichor
Alright,
triple trade.
Alright, that's it.
Oh, and just like that, Purple's like, alright, that play was okay.
Well played, you got me.
But, again, is that correct? Since you might need the War Axe plus Blood to Ichor to deal with the Flame Waker.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
The thing is, Mage tends not the coin Flame Waker.
Yeah, not when you've got a War Axe or a 2/2 on the board. So I'd agree with that.
There's like no way that your opponent's best play is coin War Axe. So that's actually, this whole kind of worked out. Just poking base for once, still probably correct.
I mean, I guess one of the big worries you've got as a warrior here is I want those charges to be able to use with the ghoul at some point for 3/2s. Because if a mirror image comes out and I need to start, clearing up the minions, the one attack weapon is better to waste away than a War Axe charges, right?
Absolutely.
So there might be some consideration there for
and this
the
is
2 health minions.
What's good about this is instead of having a 1/1, he has a 2/2.
Right.
Which is like a lot better against Mage Hero Power, anyways.
Yeah. If there were an Arcane Blast, then we'd be talking a different thing. But if Arcane Blast is used on this without spell damage, yeah, I'll take that. It's a pretty okay
SilentStorm really has to be considering what if he has Frost and Berserker.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Frostbolt can handle it, so you don't want to waste that away. And Fairy Dragon, another great pickup against Mage.
Yeah, absolutely.
The missiles.
Oh, he's actually gonna
just.
It looks like he's actually just gonna end up getting full value out of this part. This hook.
I like honestly like the keeping it disguises the axe number 1, and it also gives you against Mage an answer to all those really aggravating 3/2s that keep coming out with AOE leftovers.
And the 3/2s are the cards that really need to go away.
As fast as possible.
Those are the really dangerous guys in the deck.
True.
So Fairy Dragon and Poke seems... Actually, do you even attack?
I don't think I attack. I think I just play Fairy.
Yeah.
Because if I attack, I effectively just don't play War Axe next turn, right? Because then I still have to swing into the 1 health. Unless Ghoul is the out I'm going for.
You're not going to play Ghoul next turn even if you draw
If you draw it, yeah.
You're going to play 3/6 next turn.
I like the Fairy Dragon, but the Axe is a good setup to protect the Twilight Guardian. So
The fact. So what happens? Oh, I don't like this at all.
This is awkward.
What happens is the 2/3 bumps into the 2/2, and then you're axing a 1 health minion.
You gave him a value trade on the Mana Worm.
Yeah.
Without threatening like some kind of counter attack. I thought
with
keeping the hook
Ghoul,
was good.
with Ghoul in hand, this made a bit more sense, but like, I don't know, maybe SilentStorm actually uses a card on that, because when your opponent does that, that suggests he probably has Ghoul in his hand.
Honestly, I think this line is actually better against Arcane Missiles plays because there's the coin still in hand. And on 3 mana,
Yep.
the mage goes Flame Waker, Coin Missiles, or Arcane Blast even, and
Yep.
then you lose the Fairy Dragon, you lose the 2/2,
Yep.
and the Mana Worm's buffed up, and your axe is not set up, so you're
Yep.
still in trouble. So I think the way that he played this, for all the quote-unquote waste on the mirror images that seemed like it was going on, it makes the 3/6 more alive and forces Fireball as an answer.
It's like you wasted your Fiery War Axe on a mirror image and on a 2/1.
2/1, yeah.
It's like so little value.
Well, a little bit of mana off, but this is a good Blood to Iker. You can just clear up the Drake, get a 2/2,
Yeah.
and develop the Fairy Dragon.
You have to really consider just playing a 5-drop here. The problem with 5-drop is Arcane Blast,
With the Cold Sorcerer or Blood Mage Thanos.
which will do 6, but even without that, if you just like say play Azure Drake, then 1 mana kill your guy.
I mean,
It
if
stinks.
you play Azure Drake, you have to trade. I mean, you just get absolutely trashed
Yep.
by Arcane Blast. But if you play the Corruptor,
I really
and trade,
don't
it's
like the
okay.
Corruptor.
I think I like it less
If
than
event-
Fairy Dragon.
Like the Corruptor's eventually gonna pick up something nice and clean.
And I mean, very nice and clean,
There
especially
will
with
be a
the Blood
3/2 eventually.
Yeah. With all the enablers you've got, you'll find value. Well, speaking of the devil,
Speaking of 3/2s,
is that the turn where you just... I mean, he does have a Flame Strike.
you could just go like Sorceress Images,
And just pass.
hope it sticks, and then Flame Strike.
I mean, you ping something and then Flame Strike on 6. Because if that's
Or
6,
you can clear.
That's 6. All right. I mean, the odds of this missing, rather slim. Okay.
Good enough.
Let's clear this up. So now he's thinking, do I protect my 3/2 from another War Axe? But I don't think there's much that he's going to do. Like, it protected from what? Champion? War Axe number 2?
That champion goes face, you know.
Yeah.
That's how charge you guys work.
Most of the things that kill it here are essentially chargers
And
or...
Azure Jake Black Decker. Pretty
Yeah.
good. Don't get the spawn to 2/2, but removing his guy is very, very good.
Yeah, one of the things, though, right now that SilentStorm's happy about is, all right, so right now, I'm getting, you know, I'm forcing or giving an incentive to
Yeah.
the warrior to develop on the board because I've got nothing. And the moment he does that, I've got the punish.
Yeah.
And it's a great punish because against warriors, this snipes off everything.
I really wonder what ElementZero makes out of the hand of SilentStorm. So you just saw turn 6 Blood Mage go.
Maybe double Firelands Portal. You know, you expect Firelands Portal to be there, so you want to
Yeah.
get more on board. But if it's Flame Strike, then getting on board is terrible.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's really tough to make a call here. Curator's great. Good way to refill up.
Yeah. Guess he's just going to play the champion and welcome to the arena.
If you have Firelands Portal here, what do you do? Do you ever just Firelands Portal something, or is it just strictly Flame Strike?
Oh, that turn?
Yeah, it's always
3
Flame
minions
Strike.
that all died of Flame Strike, you Flame Strike.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Curator's a bit off curve, but I like
It's
Corruptor
not actually off
Fairy.
curve because you
Finley.
because you pick up the Finley every time here. That being said, if you really want to stop being warrior,
Against a mage, I'm not sure. It's hard to say, honestly.
there's a lot of burn in mage.
You could pick up Priest, which is
Yeah.
also just as
Or
good in this
druid,
spot.
which is. I definitely don't think something like Hunter is optimal here.
Druid's great.
Yeah.
It's a good halfway point. And Arcane Blast does deal 4 damage.
Yeah, that's
and that
pretty
can
sick.
enable a ping.
So the reason to Arcane Blast and trade the Blood Mage first is that you can actually play Azure Drake number 2.
But what if Cold Sorcerer? There's 2 of those and a 1 Drake.
Yeah, all you're doing is really protecting that Blood Mage. I don't think you actually care that much.
That's a cute card.
Well, that's a pretty solid turn 9 play there with Flame Waker, the Fireball, and the Frostbolt leading into the Yogg.
It's going to be as good as it gets. It cures perfectly, basically, and then
Yeah.
he also gets to play the Yoggstron if he's behind on board once more after the refuel from the Curators.
Little consideration as to, hey, should I be Frostbolting that guy? And it's just like,
there
It's
isn't
a
much
Finley.
threats, and in the deck, you have to keep in mind that between the Flamewaker acts as spell damage essentially. So
Yep.
if you pick up the second 5/4, if you pick up a Core Chronolite with Frostbolt, that's guaranteed value. You kill a Fierce Monkey, a Frothing Berserker. The amount of targets for that Frostbolt are just good. Is too many to kill a 1/3 with.
ElementZero is just going as wide as he can.
After the Flame Strike, I don't blame
Yeah,
him.
makes a lot of sense.
Like that play a lot, and this is a pretty sick pickup though. Do you, with 2 missiles left, with 1 missile
I don't
left
think
in
you
the deck,
intellect here.
Fireball is just too good?
I think you're fireballing the monkey.
Well, you'd have to start with...
It doesn't actually-
It doesn't matter in this
Yeah,
case, I guess. Yeah.
because it's random.
Well, that's a pretty good Flame Waker.
Finley dying would be very nice.
Very Dragon as
can-
well,
You can pick up a 1-mana spell off intellect.
which is why I'm
But you
considering
use
it being
both
good.
images and a missile and a blast ready. So you know
That's true.
you're like running low. So Flamewaker was like very, very good there.
All right, so...
Just picking that kill up on Finley is very nice. I wonder if
I mean, that's why you don't Frostbolt it, by the way. Like, we were talking about how bad it was to
Yeah.
Frostbolt the 1/3. This is exactly the reason you
the
don't.
2 extra missiles meant you were able to kill a Core Chronolite with that Frostbolt instead of Finley. And the Finley just ended up dying anyways.
Yeah.
The Flamewaker anyways.
It's a low-level threat, so...
And
So
Board
Fireland's Portal
number
here would
3.
change a lot of things. Do you have time? I don't think you do. I feel like you've played 2
It
images.
depends.
Yeah, it really depends on...
I do like the Cone of Colt positioning.
In this
the Fairy
matchup,
Dragon
it actually matters
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
with Babbling Book nowadays and Kabbalah Stone and so
Bunch
much.
of random stuff in there.
And Yogg.
I don't know if you did it on purpose, but like
Even-
staying alert like that and having those mechanics of where to place my minions, it's very good.
Kabbalah Stone, he's going to try to buy himself some time, and he picks up some okay cards. He can kill the 5/4 with
Yeah,
that Dragon's
reducing
Breath.
5 is very, very good here.
It's actually the biggest problem was, do I have time if I take the 11 damage on board?
Yeah.
But now if you're only taking 6,
Maybe.
you probably do have time.
And you fed the Yogg a couple more spells. And
This looks like a Dragon Pass.
yeah, ElementZero's hand all of a sudden doesn't look so good.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you play that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you get blown out by Yogg. If you can force a really suboptimal Yogg Saron, you might be happy. You have
Yeah.
the Ghoul Execute against a big target, and the Dragon can always be enabled later for more value.
You definitely don't have a goal.
Yeah.
See, that seems like very silly.
Let's not. Let's not.
It's very hard to play around Capitalism. That 3 random cards.
The
well, now
secrets
it's 2.
are the ones.
Now it's 2.
Sure, but the secrets are the ones that get to me every time because
6 mage secrets or 7.
you absolutely can't play around any of them. But like the situation usually warrants no consideration from the mage player.
SilentStorm thinks it's time.
And he's not necessarily wrong, but he's gonna have to clear out this board somehow. It looks like something charges.
Entity's very good.
Oh no, he actually shadow stabbed the tree in it.
Darn.
Entity is insane in this matchup. Oh, protect the king. Okay.
Well, now you just get the bolster combo.
Well, that storm is pretty sweet.
Yep.
That's a sweet storm. Evolve.
Oh, wombo combo.
No Doomsayer right now. Assassinate always kills an enemy minion. Tracking can sometimes be good. That's very good. Goodness gracious. If this board doesn't get cleaned up, that's a sick play.
And a bit of heal for good measure.
And we're done. Okay, goodbye, Warrior.
Well,
We're out of this. Peace out.
Close game.
Yeah. Closed game.
That as well.
It's as close as it's going to get. I mean, you can Ghoul execute the Yogg and hope your Grom gets to swing in some universe.
There's just so many cards at this point.
I mean, if there's no burn, occasionally you get away with this. It's like you have enough health to survive the board.
He still needs to find 7 from.
I mean,
Yeah, this is looking rough for the Warrior now.
how do you pick up 7 damage?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, well, that's going to be it with the Polymorph board and Firelands Portal.
7, 10, 12. And yep.
And to the face we go. Next is Champion Sarad, just adding himself to the roulette. Because why not? And Polymorph bore anything, and suddenly win the game.
Oh, it gets Divine Shield and then it transforms.
I don't really care. Why do I need Divine Shield for? So, SilentStorm going up 2-0 in the series. That Mage game, the Flame Strike played the biggest role, I think, in the game more than anything else.
I think, like you saw, like the Dragon Warrior had like a bunch of cards from the Curator. Then he got Flame Striked, and then another sweeper with a Flame Waker.
Yeah.
And then the third sweeper to the Steelixron. And I think you can go back to revisit turn 6 of that game when your opponent Blood Mage passes. And I think the Warrior could have maybe done a bit better to like make a read on the Mage's hand. And and instead of playing 3 threats at a time into the sweeper, play 2.
Okay, so just force inefficient trades.
Yeah, and then he would have ended up with a bit more resources at the end of the day.
I like that a lot. I mean, it's the way you used to. I know in Arena that's the way you play essentially because the
exactly.
Mage may just have. Although nowadays
when you play like that and you're just like, cool, I can if I just don't let him get too much Flame Strike value, I should be fine.
I refuel.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Mage eventually
in Arena,
gets
unfortunately, you
pressure.
just don't beat the 4 Flame Strike or something like that.
I mean, it doesn't happen anymore because of the dilution of potential card choices, but the point still stands of if you extend too much into a Freeze Mage's AoE, you get punished. Yep. And this is always what you want to do. Put 2 minions that are both subpar. Either it draws a Frostbolt or a Fireball, you're happy, or it draws a massive board clear for 2 targets, and you're happy. So that's usually how you want to be pacing yourself against those decks. So Warrior is going to be the choice for SilentStorm. We know it's a control deck. We know it's an awesome deck. Does it perform well against the lineup of ElementZero is the thing I'm wondering, though.
Well,
Dragon Warrior?
Infested Doran's a really good card against all the aggressive decks.
It's really a pesky thing, because like the 2-2
very
leftover
annoying.
is such a nightmare. Oh, man. So, you know, there was a change made in the last patch. I don't know if you heard about it, but the price of tokens went up. So the price of little minions like snakes and slimes went up in mana. And I'm wondering what happened. Like, what did they make as a card in which set that makes those tokens somehow?
Maybe Blizzard's just realizing that Evolve Shaman is just actually OP.
A thing, and they just don't want to give us good cards out of it. You got to make those 1-drops and 2-drops become 3.
So these days, I think overall you're pretty happy to see a Druid as a warrior.
The build that SilentStorm is running makes N'Zoth really tough to handle, but the problem is you have to get there, and getting there is a bit tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against Druid, it's the long game is tough, and that's a hand.
That is the
for
hand.
ElementZero, but there's a shield block, shield slam. So
Vanroll will not stick.
Well, it will stick if the Wild Growth comes in on curve, because shield block, shield slam is 1 turn behind, and you won't have enough armor at that point. So
no, it's Wild Growth. Warrior ends up at 4 mana when the Fandral hits the board here.
Maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but the Warrior's at 3.
Yeah.
So
he does, and the Fandral comes next turn, so he'll be at 4, right?
Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking the Loot Hoarder is the one that gets the trade. I guess in this case, ElementZero is just going to play it super slowly. There's no reason to rush that Fandral out, is there?
I actually wonder if you do play the Fandral here.
I don't like it. Oh, well, that might change his plan.
Coin draw 3 cards seems reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even mind Nourish because you've got Fandral, part of the Wild Living Roots, so you can go...
You definitely know this game's going late.
Yeah.
And, like, getting in a couple extra minions and spells from...
No,
wow.
This without Part of the Wild is surprising, yeah.
He's doing, like...
I don't disagree with keeping Fandral. I think keeping Fandral with the hand you've got is very reasonable.
I thought Nourish was probably the play, though. And this is, the fabled, I'm gonna do nothing turn.
The Warrior needs to have Ghoul, or you're literally just punching him a little bit every time.
That's the only way you're ever willing to kill Living Roots. You don't have Ghoul? Alright.
I guess I'll do this. I like the Nourish a lot, but I guess you can go for Coin Part of the Wild. You punch for 4.
I think this is what he set up for last turn.
Yeah, definitely.
There is this Brawl on curve, though. And when your opponent does nothing...
No, man. You know what's awkward about Brawl?
Fandral living?
Everything. Yeah, I mean, it's just a high roll scenario. You can just armor up, Blood to Iker, but if you do, then you let so much on the board. But it makes your follow-up Brawl, I think, a bit better. Oh my goodness! I puked in my mouth.
Well, that was a fun game of Hearthstone.
Well played, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be drawing, ramping, and auto-winning. But there's still a chance that SilentStorm gets away with it with Sylvanas and
Oh my, there's an idol too.
okay, now we're going into dangerous territory. Enough mana to play the Power of the Wild on the back of this. If there's another idol from this, it could be idol into idol.
That was a good.
That's very good.
I guess you take Gormok.
Yeah, might as well. You might flood the board, and
Starfire goes fish for 5.
Starfire is fine. I like it a lot. It's just a playable card.
Yeah.
And
You
the
already
fact
have
that
a
it
copy of
cycles,
Power of the Wild. Wild Gross draw a card.
You could just power. If the warrior just brawled you and has no follow up,
Yeah, the second power will be decent next turn.
so it's really down to whether or not you expect your Fandral to live. Based on the hand, there's no way it does, but there's a world in which it would have. So.
I don't think the Fandrel's dying. I think Sylvanas is hitting the table here.
We're looking at 9 damage on board, possibly more. You're still alive. Revenge will be
Yeah,
live
you-
if it hits.
Oh, you're at 28. You
Yeah.
have some health to play with.
You have
You
about
ju-
3
you
turns
ju-
of
you
face
just-
tanking.
So Fandral already connected on the Nourish and one idol and a Power of the Wild. So you're just like,
How much
eh.
worse can it get?
yeah.
I don't know, man. It can get much worse.
What happens if you like just execute this Fandral is Druid jams
A minion.
a big minion,
Yeah.
and then you play Sylvanas next turn, and you're just like, I have less health to play with now. And overall, this is like a very annoying Sylvanas.
So an Emperor Thorson would make this Malagos a complete insanity, given that the right spells were picked up in the future.
Yeah.
So right now, the
Th-
Fandral is just an extra beatdown tool. Like it's just a
Yep.
beat stick.
This is incredibly awkward. What do you even do here? Cycle Raph? You can cycle Raph on your
On your
Fandral,
Fandral
double
to
trade.
double trade and then just
Play
deny
Gormok.
Sylvanas value. But the issue with that is, you know, there's an Azoth, and if you don't close the game out, I mean, you've seen the SilentStorm's deck before. You assume there's an Azoth in there, and if there is, if you give him 3 turns to set up and get it out, then suddenly Sylvanas is a problem again, and you haven't done anything.
All right, so maybe we just go face.
I don't mind just Gormocking and Power of the Wilding
Yeah.
and shoving it.
I guess he's going to answer the Sylph by trying to go wide. Oh, no.
This is occasionally
This is occasionally a disaster, but all the plays were like,
really subpar.
Real-
They felt
yeah.
awkward and just about
nothing was
everywhere.
good here.
Vezetarian's a pretty interesting card. So Gormok can go down, or the Panther. You want to steal that Gormok. So
I think
if
that-
you
Start the turn, I think the Sylvanas is just running into the Gormok.
what about? Is there a way you can kill the 5/3? So Revenge.
You can like Icar, Armor, Shield Slam, Icar, execute it.
Yeah, the idea is like, what if you Revenge, Armor Up, Shield Slam the
I-
4/3,
I think
then
the-
you execute the 5/4,
the-
trade the Gormok, and steal Fandral as a 6/7.
Does that work?
It does, yeah, but you have to literally play.
A lot of cards.
Yeah, but you still a 6/7 against Druid.
Boulder Fist Ogre is very, very powerful against Druid when there's not a copy of Mulch in hand. Although, Swipe Wrath will cleanly just answer that.
I feel like that's what he's going for at this point. He wants to steal the 6/8. Undamaged without Revenge, it's even better, and he gets 2/2/2s on top of it. That's a board that the Druid will just hate.
Oh.
But the double swipe, pretty good.
Or do you just Yogg this?
You Yogg this?
That's not the worst Yogg, right? When is Warrior, besides N'Zoth, right?
N'Zoth turn, yeah.
This, the board's never getting bigger than this.
I mean, double swipe's clean and it powers up Yogg, but I guess there are really good.
You could
know,
also double swipe face,
face
and left the Fandral.
Tendril up, yeah. I think I like that a lot. So.
Like, there's no Justicar hero power up. It's coming, but currently there was none.
You don't expect it to be in there
Ah,
necessarily.
There was no time to play Justicar yet, but
You just can't assume it's there. It's one of those one-ofs in the deck, and he hasn't drawn very much. So
I did play a. Ooh, so that's 7 damage, and the Moonfire 6, so that's 13.
is this the Violet
Wait,
Teacher
what-
Wrath turn?
Oh my God, he would have just killed him had he
If
double
was
swipe face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have just killed him. Oh, the cool part about the interaction between Malagos and Yogg-Saron is when the Malagos is on the board.
And lives through Yogg, the spell damage is affected.
Yeah. So you get some pretty bonker yogs going on. So I like the play where you played Malagos and you probably killed a Justicar of the Moonfire and then you just living roots him in the dome.
Yeah.
You hope it sticks because you just saw all the removal go off on that Sylvanas Fandral turn.
That's true.
Malagos is pretty likely to stick.
Yeah, it's more likely to stick than ever.
Yep.
At that point.
Yep. And
Shield Slam
then
doesn't
and then
handle
you
it.
get to play Yoxeron with the Malagos onward. And it's like first spell like Hellfire, Pyroblast.
I mean, you hope you don't kill
everything
your
is lethal at
Malagos.
that
I
point.
have killed my Malagos with that play more times than I've killed them.
I don't know if it's a very high percentage play. It just
Yeah.
looks very flashy though.
Flame Strike for 9 on everything.
Yep. So
Lots of lines of play here, but most of them involve using double AoE to clean up.
yeah, SilentStorm's just wondering, do I kill that?
I mean, getting the Tauren now is good because you get N'Zoth next turn.
I think, yeah, playing the Tauren is absolutely insane here.
I agree, but if he opts not to, I can't fault him. He can play it a tiny bit slower.
So the N'Zoth brings back Sylvanas already. That's very, very strong.
Yeah.
A Loot Hoarder.
And that's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all that he's played with Death Rattle this
That's
game.
a 5/7 and a 5/5. That's like still really, really good.
And you saw what the first Sylvanas did to your opponent.
Yeah.
And hey, if the second one does anything like that,
I think it's time to go in on this Malagos. I don't know what we're waiting for.
I think he's just going to try to Raven Idol another
if you
damage spell.
Every turn you wait, your opponent gains 4. So when in 1 turn and a half, the fact that you drew Moonfire is irrelevant.
Yeah. He's going to go for the Yogg turn. Gets a secret, and on we go. Resurrect hits a Living Roots, not very good. Convert to bring a Ghoul. Frost Shock is not... Wait, on the face?
Frost
That's actually just as good as it's going to get. Oh, wow.
That's a lot of value.
What a refill.
That's a bit less value.
A tiny bit less, but good enough. He actually Wind Furies it at the very end. Like, I silenced you, but... Oh, no. Okay. Well, he gets a high main and a Fierce Monkey. That's
what a Yogg.
What a sick board. What a sick board. And just like that, we see one of the cards in the deck that's meant for the early game coming out at the wrong time. So if N'Zoth is played now, you lose because Malagos kills you.
You play N'Zoth.
But you don't have a choice. Yeah, exactly. You don't have much of a choice. So you just hope your opponent doesn't have 11 more, which in this case, ElementZero does.
SilentStorm just like, that was a pretty good Yogg. But, you know, the game before, he's like...
I played okay, too, with my Yogg.
My Yogg is pretty good, too. I guess that's fair.
Yogg away, ladies and gents. That's the game of Hearthstone these days.
I like at least when Yogg is fair. You know?
Both players win a game thanks to a Yogg strong.
Yeah.
And ElementZero is going to have a chance to maybe come back in the series.
I am a bit disappointed by SilentStorm's play, though.
You mean not playing the...
Not getting Malagos out there.
ElementZero. Not
ElementZero,
the Malagos out there. I think it's one of those cards that, you know, when you're the one building the deck and you've come up with it, you understand what the purpose of Malagos is in the deck, which is
the
standalone.
The purpose of it is to play it and then to play Yogg's Run. There's no other purpose.
I mean, I don't know if I'd like to Explosive Shot my Yogg's Run
for 10,
or my Malagos for 10, and then Arcane Shot. I've power blasted myself.
What it does
15.
do is just creates like the highest variance Yogg possible. Where
Elemental destruction.
Each individual, any damage spell is so much more impactful
and exciting.
Yeah.
As a result. Well, that's a very good hand for SilentStorm on the opener. And I think it's against that type of deck, the card draw and the armor gain. So this looks like a N'Zoth Paladin from ElementZero. We don't see any Murlocs. So I want to know whether or not there are any in that list. But
so usually, ooh, I like just dude go there.
Yeah.
This will allow him to cash in on the Solemn. Is it just me, or does it feel like to you as well that SilentStorm's just playing like a 40-card deck?
Yeah, he's got every warrior card that should be in a 30-card deck, but like his deck just seems to not have cut anything.
Yeah.
And it's still playing Control Warrior, which is kind of odd because like, it's such a
we figured out there's no Acolyte of Pain, but other than that, like.
Like an Azoth warrior that finds room for everything. Look at this hand. Like, it's literally a standard Azoth control warrior, but then we see double blood. We see Yogg-Saron. There's the brawl still.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he actually doesn't start with more cards in his hand.
He should have 6 to open with. Just start the game with 6 cards. Fair game.
Tauren on curve seems pretty good.
Yeah, against warriors, it's take a charge away from the axe. The Harrison Jones is going to be super meaningful later in the game. It's one of those cards that a lot of people have been cutting from their deck.
Yeah.
But in this matchup especially, it's very, very needed.
In a lot of spots, it's actually not even good against Shaman and the Doomhammer.
Yeah.
It's in the spots where your opponent actually has a semblance of board control.
It's just not.
Just taking away the weapon doesn't win you the game because the board beats you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people actually play Ooze instead, so that they
the
have follow-up mana savings.
Yeah, and then you can like say we're playing Warrior, so then you can like kill the 5/5. You can like Ooze, shield block, shield slam.
Right. It happens quite often when you have the Ooze instead of the Harrison Jones. Plus, you never risk overdrawing in a match where it matters.
Yep.
So I really like the Ooze nowadays in Warrior. Feels really solid. So the Cairn Bloodhoof could be coming from both sides.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to be doing here. Put pressure on the Paladin because he's going to respond.
Face seems fine here. If you hit the 2/2, then the Cairn hits your 3/3.
Double Ivory Knight.
Altar Peacekeeper seems very, very good here. You never actually want to kill Cairn.
I don't think so. I mean,
you
want him to force his own trade. He's going to do it.
You really got to question your Hearthstone plays when you're going ahead and killing a Cairn. It's almost always incorrect.
So here's the deal: if you Aldor the Cairn, let's say, and just kill the Elise for whatever reason instead of facing.
I do think you double trade into Elise.
Yeah, because if you do that, then the fact that Cairn can't pop yours and then brawl to keep himself more likely to work out, you might be okay. How many brawls are there in the deck? Because if he made a cut and has a second brawl, then Azoth Paladin is great against it.
Yeah.
Well, only one copy.
He already has a copy of 2 copies of Equality, so picking up the Consecrate to go with those seems pretty good.
Oh man. So this is the play for board.
I think like what I don't like about this play is the Cairn goes into the 4/4 now, right?
You give him value trades, right?
Yeah.
All the way through.
That does not feel good. What? I don't think I would have taken Consecrate in that spot. I think I would have taken Blessing
of Kings, yeah.
To force the removal on the Cairn. Because no one wants to kill Cairn, right? So if you force the action by making it 8/9, then he kind of has to.
So here we see that N'Zoth's first mate is acting as a weird, like, Ravaging Ghoul setup over a few turns if he really wants to use this 1 damage ping. So
I don't actually know what he wants to do this turn.
Just pop the 4/4 with Elise.
You could slam Ghoul, but it's.
I mean, you could slam Ghoul, but I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of that. I think you can just keep doing what you were doing a minute ago.
Why are we killing Cairn? That's for sure.
We're not.
I don't know about that slam.
I like it. I think it's okay if you're just going to be trying to get value trades and not play your Ghoul. Because the N'Zoth's first mate is the card that I was alluding to that sets up a Ghoul over a few turns.
Yeah.
And the Paladin is now forced to Pyro play or Consec this. And because he doesn't have 8 mana, he can't go something like Consecration True Silver. He might have to Aldor.
Yeah, Aldor was the best play last turn. And it still is now.
It's still very good.
He can Aldor and Shock Hearts. There's a Solemn Vigil hidden far left in the hand. It just seems like a very reasonable play.
I mean, Consec draw cards. How about that? What if you... I mean, you don't have that many activators for equality, so you probably want to keep it, but...
Actually, suiciding your Cairn has a lot of merit as
just
well.
because of the Sun Vigil, right?
Eventually, yeah, but not necessarily just that. You're just like, just get it out of the way before, Sylvanas comes and steals your guy.
You're both trying to do that.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Also, another thing with, like, Aldering the Cairn is just, like, you never kill it, it never comes back.
I think he's just going to try to go for a Solemn Vigil Doomsayer turn. Is that a possibility? He's trying to set up a Solemn Vigil with this.
Yeah.
Seems like a halfway play.
Obviously, like the Doomsayer goes off or dies on board, right?
But if it does, what's your backup? I'm not sure if that ever works out. Maybe he's trying to make SilentStorm commit more so that Equality Consec is even better.
You kind of do need to commit here. Because
you kind of do.
You're not ahead of enough on board not to commit.
So I like ElementZero's play if the point was to force the warrior into this awkward spot, which right now is magnificent because a lot of minions die. Solemn Vigil probably gets some card draw this turn, even without Doomsayer.
Wow.
That's godlike.
So each Solemn will be 1, so that means you can cast both.
Oh
and draw 4 cards and use all your mana. Nice, clean, neat play.
So now he's trying to figure out in which order he wants to do it. Like, can I play one Solemn for more expensive than I'd like, and then maybe get the second one off? But as it stands, Equality Consec is the most all-in play. But it lets him play both.
You draw 4 cards,
Vigils.
and you have another quality in your hand. And that Consecrate was actually from the horse guy.
Yeah, so there's
so
more.
you have more Consecrates in your deck, and you have Pyros.
Very solid play here. It does set up a pretty decent ghoul for the warrior.
Gosh, that was a lot of cards.
Or the weapon.
That was a good turn.
I liked it.
Still,
oh my god, a bash? Where's the room for these cards?
This is incredible.
I don't even know, like, how many cards does SilentStorm have in his deck? Is there a Reno? Like, there's got to be some magic he's operating.
We haven't seen Brawl yet, have we?
I've seen one earlier.
Have we?
He played it against the previous deck from ElementZero in a tight spot, but I'm just... Like, what cuts were made?
There's everything in this deck.
It's insane. So Ragnaros here, the issue with that is if Sylvanas Armor of Shield Slam comes down, you're in trouble. So you really can't yet, I think, go for that. Playing it slowly again.
Nah, if Sylvanas steals your rag, you just Wally Consecrate it.
Okay, now I think you want that that Kings, but it's still good. I don't mind Avenging Wrath. I think it's pretty solid.
I like Blessing of Kings a lot.
Yeah. Against Warriors, just take out all the armor. Good luck shield slamming anything.
Avenging Wrath's just like negate 2 armor ups. Blessing of Kings forces your opponent to play a card, or Blessing of King is +4/+4. Destroy a card in your opponent's hand. He needs to execute. He needs to shield slam. You can't just leave a big guy that got kings onto the board.
Yeah, and you can't even shield slam half the time.
Yeah.
Because the minion is so big and your armor gain is so small compared to its total of health. So
I don't know how to feel about Yogg in this kind of matchup, because this is like definitely going to fatigue, right?
So here's the question. I think the cut for the second ball in that control warrior was the Yogg. And then he warped the early game for, Blood to Ikers, which worked very well against aggro. So when you start going for the Yogg, you find a room for the bashes. They're good. You play maybe a Revenge, possibly 2, and then you play Blood to Ikers. What I find odd is, like, when do you find room for N'Zoth's first mate, or Harrison Jones? Like, this entire package is where I just get confused, because I can't figure out what cards were just disappeared. I just don't get it.
Is it good enough to just play N'Zoth to get a Karen?
I don't think so. I don't think it's ever... Like, if there's a counter N'Zoth play... Because that's the issue, right? You win with Tyrion in that deck. Like, you just...
Yeah, you don't have it yet.
Yeah, but I think you have... Well,
you don't...
That's a card I think we were talking about. But again, the argument of Rag stealing something doesn't apply as much because the 1/1's there, but it's still a problem.
The in before Sylvanas thing here is, like... so freaking good.
And it's so scary. But there's a good Harrison Jones if Tyrion goes down.
Do you care, though? You just get it back.
I know. I mean, ElementZero doesn't care. The issue of whether or not SilentStorm does.
Shield Slam Harrison Jones, N'Zoth, or Infested Torrent seems like a really good play. Oh.
So he's going to kill it with minions.
Is he?
Or just a shield slam without.
He's just not. He's just not going to tempo the Thorn. I like tempoing the Thorn.
I think it's definitely okay. That's card advantage, or at least card equalization, to put it that way.
It's not even card advantage.
Yeah, it's just like
Paladin's really good at these games.
So ElementZero says well played, but He knows he's got more coming in. I think you want to clean up this board a bit before you commit to the N'Zoth to push the Warrior.
I don't think you do. Playing N'Zoth into a board is actually pretty good in the sense that, so you're going to have Brawl to deal with my N'Zoth, right? But if you have a board too, then the Brawl actually sucks.
I don't know. I feel like because the thing is ElementZero's out of threats. If he plays this and it gets defused, he's done. There's very little left.
He has like
Light Lord.
Aldor, Kodo, his Ragnaros the Fire Lord. He's got a Light Lord. He's got a Sylvanas in his deck. I don't know. I think he's. But the thing is, if you wait, it's just going to get brawled later.
So how many cards? I think the Paladin has drawn quite a substantial amount of cards with the double sound visual that we saw earlier.
Yep, he's 4 deeper
the
than
fatigue is pretty deep, but the Harrison Jones got 3 for the Warrior. This is probably the best Avenging Wrath you'll find for a while, so I don't mind him just committing to it.
It was really good until the Harrison Jones stuck around.
Even if it did, like, it's okay, because the 1-1s usually just don't get contested by much.
Very good infested Tauren, I think.
You could even axe the 1-1.
Protect that. The Tauren does it.
Until Consec. No, doesn't matter. Your Harrison dies every time. I think you might just force the Paladin to use inefficient removal. By axing the 1-1, you're basically not giving him outs.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. Kodo's also dead. Like, you can't Kodo kill the Harrison. Because if Tauren dies to Kodo, it's kind of awkward. But I guess you're happy to see Kodo if Humility is not played. Yeah.
You don't really have any big guys in your deck. Anyways.
N'Zoth, Sylvanas. Did we see Grom?
We have not seen Grom in any of the games, I don't think.
Grom yet.
We haven't seen like Baron Geddon.
Either.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are cards that usually are on the fence for sure in Control Warrior.
Yeah. In these types of lists, though, I think Revenge is usually more appropriate because the top end is so heavy. Like in a N'Zoth deck, just Revenge works almost as well. Because if you play Double Ghoul with a Revenge, you just get good clears.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, there are a lot of threats. Kodo Consecrated, meh.
Humility Pass. Actually...
Oh, Rag.
Yeah, just
so red Ragnaros.
Yeah. Red Rag?
Yeah. Seems decent.
I mean, it dies on board right now.
Well, not when it kills the Harrison Jones, silly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have anticipated. I really like playing it slow. You know how you can win the war by attrition, by just hero powering as much as you want? I think that's acceptable. Kodo Consec is fine as well. Yeah. If you have the Pyromancer left in the deck.
It's just a bit awkward to, you know, get that stranded.
No, man.
I think it's time to make a move here.
I think the Yogg or
I think it's just N'Zoth.
Yeah. Both of them are great. You saw the Consec.
You just want to play all your stuff here, then Monkey. The problem is, I guess at the same time for ElementZero, saving that N'Zoth's like very, very smart. That because you want to be playing that like turn after Monkey comes out.
There's no brawl. Yeah. It's like, does he have Deathwing? If not, I win. And even if he does,
a bunch of random legendaries not very good against the tempo swing.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. And the thing is, like, Monkey can give you multiple N'Zoth.
Yep.
When that happens,
you usually win those games.
Yeah, it happens quite often. That you just win a game on the back of something that feels like it shouldn't have happened, and that's a Pyromancer.
I don't really know if it's the play.
It's not necessary with the removal you've got. You can play just Rag.
I like Rag again.
Yeah, I think this is actually the best Rag you'll get for quite a while, given the deck that SilentStorm is playing.
Well,
but are you dead?
You could also just play N'Zoth here. Because you can play Ragnaros into the Monkey. It's just not as powerful. I do not like the clear at all.
I mean,
this is the second equality.
It plays very... Oh, there was a way to keep the Pyro alive, but I guess it didn't accomplish anything. I guess like the Aldor contests this, but it gets killed by the War Axe. So that's actually like the most resource-heavy removal turn you could have gotten.
Well, is it Monkey time?
I think it's down to the Sylvanas that SilentStorm, that ElementZero's got in his deck, right? That's the card that's going to swing this back in. I mean, at this point, SilentStorm can literally
Is
right
he-
into the 1-1, War Axe, Armor Up, Torrent, Pass. Like, it could be the slowest grindy play just to attrition down the Paladin.
I don't think he ever wins fatigue in this spot. I think that the Warrior's on the play here for sure.
So, if you
I
play
don't have
Monkey,
the I don't have the card count at, but
what about Yogg?
this is why I don't play Yogg in my Warrior. Because you end up with like 7 cards in hand, and you're just like,
But Monkey makes them all good.
yeah.
Well, not good. They make them legendaries,
Yeah,
so that's a big
there's
deal.
like overdraw concerns. There's astral commune concerns.
Yeah, so he's going to be going, like, he's going to play the Attrition Ward. That's what I was
Yeah.
referring to. He chose to bash instead of attacking, which I'm not sure about because the bash turns into a legendary
Right.
with the Monkey later on. But
I don't think like it does turn into a legendary, but the way I'm seeing it is, I don't think that Golden Monkey's coming down for a long time.
based on the play he made, I don't
Yeah.
think it is. He's committing to a grindier game plan against this Paladin, which for now seems to be working out okay. I mean, Rag Light Lord, Rag the Fire Lord are both okay. They both draw and execute.
So one of the big problems for ElementZero is that he's used all his reactive cards.
He's got no more equality as far as
He
I'm
used his
aware.
Consecrate, he used his Avenging Wrath that he did pick up. And
There
it's-
is a Consecration
and
left.
He just has not played any of his threats, so that SilentStorm is now like a tiny bit ahead on tempo.
I think the
And-
big deal is exactly as you mentioned, the tempo. If you never pick up a turn like a Sylvanas, suddenly the game plan you committed to, which is keep N'Zoth until you can,
Yep.
is gonna fall apart. So
Yeah.
you have to pick it up within 2 turns, I think.
So a couple ways of doing this. It could be like Ghoul Execute here. It could be Shield Slam, bump the 1/1. I like getting the Ghoul out there. Now, you only have 3 on board, but once you get that to like 6 power, that becomes really annoying.
What a Blood to Ichor execute.
Kind of the same thing. You end up with 5
Yeah,
on
but
board.
you don't damage your stuff.
Well, you do because you have to hit into the 1/1
So
then, right?
there is a Consecration left in the deck. So
Yeah.
one
One
of
of-
them was picked up from
Oh,
the
here
old
we
Monkey
go.
Boy. All right, let's do this then. That bash actually seems like it wasn't played at the right time, and that's a
Moros Buckshot.
goodness gracious.
This color doesn't work with an Ictor, right?
No, it only works by buffing the initial body size.
Darn.
of it. We have to see what's left in that deck. Acid Maw is not even half bad, but without any AoE, the Morose Acid Maw is really sick. Like that combination, if it sticks and
It's-
does anything, is insane.
There's only 2 Pyros left.
Do you ever keep Morose to buff it up so it doesn't die to Pyro anything play? Like just to miscolor it? Maybe it's fine.
There's a It's really slow, right?
Yeah. How much do you need to get an extra 1/1 on board? With Acid Maw, you're 1/3 and
Yeah,
weapon kill.
with Acid
everything?
Maw, it has like an immediate impact. So I think this is like when you N'Zoth, right, and then you just get Shrek'd by the Acid Maw. There's no way you ever put your opponent on having it or play around that.
I mean, you
Why
could
would
just
you?
drag because there's no execute, there's no shield slams.
Yeah.
So you're forcing
What?
some really heavy trades
So
most
you-
of the time, and you can
So-
even humiliate the monkey.
Yep. I don't think like the Warrior can actually play Acid Maw
Not with this board.
because of Pyromancer.
Oh!
My! That's why you don't humility, man.
Well, if you play Acid Maw, Pyro just destroys you most of the time.
The Rag actually doesn't do much. You can just miscolor and Blood Mage and tank up and just
Do you just face tank all the things? The 1/1 value from Morose is just stacking
You
up eventually.
You don't have to kill the Ragnaros, right?
I don't think so.
Killing the Ragnaros actually just implies playing Acid Maw. Or running your whole board in. That's what, 3, 5, 8? Yeah, you can run the whole board in.
everything, Yeah. You'd have to literally face tank a little bit.
I guess you could do that to play Onyxia.
That's a refill. That's true.
I-
But there's still like there's no equality left.
I've
right?
never actually seen Moros in action, and I kind of want him just to be on the board for a while.
Morose is actually not as bad as it looks when it sticks around. And in these types of games, it's better than when you're trying to play it on curve. Just because the answers, the AoE have been used up.
Against oh no, this Pyromancer.
Okay, so Pyromancer into, say, Forbidden Healing just clears up.
Yeah.
Actually, the 2/2 comes back in.
Yeah, he gets the 2 back at least.
Acid Maw actually doesn't die, by the way. Because it doesn't kill itself on the damage
well,
output.
actually, yeah, there's actually
Never mind. Never mind.
Is
Change
the
of
play ever just like pass here?
I think it is, because if he wants to play more, then he's welcome to.
Yeah.
And let's wait. You have Forbidden Healings. Find room for those plays later.
Yeah.
If he wants to fill up his board with a bunch of 1/1s, you know, it's fine. You have him on fatigue most of the time.
You do have like double gain 20, so you're like, you have lots of time. What's kind of scary about doing that kind of thing, though? What's the point of that concentrate?
I don't know. You trade the Pyro away into a War Axe, and a 2/2 comes out on the board.
Yeah.
Seems very. I mean,
The
Consecrate alone I get. Pyro Consec I don't get. It's one or the other.
It does a damage to this 2/2. How relevant is that?
Reporting for duty.
Not very.
I think one or the other
Oh
was
my.
fine. What a card.
These are some quality legendaries we're seeing.
Yeah. Blood Mage at this stage, I'm not overly keen on it, but the 2 dragons are absolutely sick.
Yeah. I think it's a next year time.
I don't even mind the Farian, but it's just less damage output. You've seen 2 Pyros, 2 Consecs, 1 Avenging Wrath, like everything is gone. Onyxia does everything.
Yeah.
Onyxia just wins.
Well.
I mean, ElementZero is like, yeah, I played this Pyro. Maybe that's just awkward.
Aldor seems like really slow.
But it's good enough because you have time
is.
again, right? Like there's no Savage Roar.
What are we waiting for on this Nazoth? It brings back a Karen
That's it.
and a
Tauren.
Tyrion.
I think a Tauren as well.
Yeah, a Tauren and a Tyrion.
So
Nazoth is sick.
I think we Tauren. Like unless there's, oh man,
Well, you can definitely play this game very slowly from the Paladin side of it. There's very little power in play after you Aldor this, and you have 40 health.
I mean
in
your
your hand.
1/1s contest, his 1/1s. Eventually you just end up value trading, and you
Oh,
have 40 extra health.
It feels so slow, though.
But do you need to be quick?
What if, like, after you trade a 1/1, what if Warrior just drops another
Scenarios.
threat? And now your Nazoth no longer contests.
Yeah, a Scenarios, for instance, would be a disaster.
I don't think you ever beat
Move quickly.
Scenarios.
You ever beat.
I think you're just screwed if that's in the role.
Well, I think Nazoth is. I mean, he really wants to get Sylvanas out, so he's being the greedy. Like he's being very greedy with his Nazoth value, which occasionally pays off, but sometimes it's just
He's
too
really
much.
waiting.
Oh my goodness,
That's a lot
that's
of
a
value.
premium Thalnos, man. That's some
3/3.
sick Thalnos.
Big girl.
I mean, even Justicar, 8/5, count me in.
So what I don't like about Mistcaller is throughout this game we actually haven't seen a true silver yet.
Not once. And actually that makes the Aldor on Onyxia better, just because you can eventually clear it up with your weapon, but
So he does go ahead and jam in the Farian.
that's pretty awesome. Like there's targets for Blessing of Kings across
Yeah.
the board.
It's just good. You use the 1/8 body or... Right now your Noble Sacrifice does not proc. I don't know how relevant that is, but...
Yeah, there's a full board, so the Noble Sacrifice is kept up for
Yep.
later. And there's no way that 1/1s die. We've seen 2 Pyros, 2 Consecs. We've mapped this out.
So there's the true silver.
So
Oh
the
my
8/8
goodness.
will
At
be.
what point do you just drop this Nazoth?
I think if you're gonna drop it,
it's-
you'll try to milk value out of your True Silvers before Ashbringer. Now that you see this, I think you're committed to that line of play. Like you just, it just feels so awkward to suddenly decide to turn the. Oh, there was a golem we didn't think about.
Forgot about the Harvest Golem. Well, you just play that, right?
Suddenly, a wild Tinkmaster appears.
Scroll the Tyrion.
Oh man, that 1/7
There's-
just feels like
There's
the
like
worst.
no way of like controlling the board well enough that you'll get like a high percentage. You can't like guarantee the flip on the Tyrion or
You
anything
can't.
like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. You can't really. I mean, you could.
You might be
wait
able
a
to.
few
You might
turns,
be able to like.
reduce it to.
You might be able to hit it on the Karen maybe. I'm not even sure if you can do that.
You can't guarantee because your minions live. Like the 8/8 and the 1/7
Yeah.
can't die right now unless you king something else.
So it's actually looking like SilentStorm's just running out of value.
I think I just run Miss Scholar, like in the turn like this. I just play Mistcaller at the end of that turn instead of trying to milk the Tyrion away. I want him to use his weapon to face tank my stuff and force him to use his heals because he obviously doesn't have any more board clears. My stuff is getting bigger and bigger, and at this point, he's going to have to make trades himself because he can't put me on a clock.
He's almost out of cards. Like, I don't think he has enough left in the tank to close this out.
We don't know what's left in the deck, but most of the time, the legendaries are going to be very average. You won't be finding these big dragons every time. The double Mistcaller is a huge deal, though, and Sylvanas could get negated.
This humility is like
game winning.
It's gonna be very, very good here.
Yeah,
it's just like humility and heal here.
Playing around Noble Sacrifice for ElementZero.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Does not get a bad trade. So he hesitated before the slime, which was absolutely correct.
So the N'Zoth can kill like the 5/5. The Karen can kill the 4/4. And the humility can effectively just kill the Nefarian.
You can face tank and just forbidden healing for 20.
That's
or
fine
for
as
18.
well.
I mean, just pick one. You keep your stuff as healthy as possible. This warrior's got no clears. And
it's a fine way to play the game as well. Not much of a difference between you being at 25 or 30 health.
Yeah, against this, at the range that the warrior's at now, usually that's enough. So this is the last card, and it's a good one.
Yep, but
it's a really good one.
But you need that's your last guy, right?
So if you Mistcall,
you need it to get it to not die on board.
And if you buff it up,
and right now it's dying on
health.
board.
Well, 14 health is a lot with a second miss, right?
I think it's time to play a Tankmeister.
So you'd have to kill something first?
Yeah, kill the Harvest Golem, then...
do you? Because if the 2-1 gets turned into...
Nah, you're hitting Karen. This is a drastic situation. You definitely don't play it, right? It just dies on board.
Yeah,
Doesn't do anything.
You don't do this. I think this
That's
is
your last guy.
Turn. That's just... I mean, unless he's banking on drawing like a 7/6, a Dream... He could get Mistcaller, Dream. That's the worst. That's got to be the worst.
This doesn't do anything.
That's got to be the worst. That must be the worst, right?
Yep.
It has to be the worst target.
So 9, 11, 13.
That's
all right.
GG,
So
like
shift your board into it. GG. There's nothing left in the tank for SilentStorm.
Okay, wait. ElementZero's perspective is not ours. He's afraid of what's in that hand. He is. You're not, because you're the caster, and you're not.
That is true.
So, like, the possibility of these 4 unknown legendaries having been buffed, if your opponent's willing to throw an Ysera on the board to die, what's there? Is there a Deathwing?
Generally, there could be a Deathwing, but generally the way you play your release cards
is
you play your best guy every turn.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So you already saw Onyxia, Nefarian, Ysera. And so you saw, okay, so you played Onyxia before Nefarian. It's following that logical sequence
I play the best stuff.
I played the best stuff every turn. That being said, there could still be a few big guys left, but pretty rare. It's definitely not better than Onyxia, because that's where it all started.
And now the Onyxia is going to go down.
I like popping the Karen and getting a...
4/5, the new body.
And then you would have been able to keep something, yeah.
I mean,
I guess this is like the Deathwing production.
It's a formality, but...
Yeah, so like SilentStorm to actually win this game, he needed the... Well,
just try
maybe his play was like, maybe my opponent doesn't trade. Oh, never lucky.
Oh, that is not good.
Yep.
I'm surprised there wasn't like a second Mistcaller play before the Ysera. Try to just get the board.
I really think, as low of a percentage as it was, I really think he needed to tank the Karen to win.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be enough damage then on board to actually kill the Ysera.
And that's the last card. I think that's also like the fact that he didn't do it. Played around not waiting until the last Paladin card is drawn to get Sylv and then place. Because if you play Ysera into Sylvanas, you know it's there in the deck, right? It's the last card left, so if you play Ysera later, there's more chances it just gives it to your opponent, and then you lose even harder. But
so Sylvanas should be checkmate.
I have no time for games.
Well, it plays around Deathwing the best, right?
Yeah, of course. There's no legendary left that I can see clearing this.
That would have been sick if had he rolled like a Yogg-Saron.
That would have been
and then you kill Sylvanas.
Or even an N'Zoth. Even an N'Zoth on this.
I'd say that was like a pretty average monkey roll. He got some very quality legendaries, sure. And half of them I would say were very good,
Yeah.
and then the other half were very poor. And I think that's just
I'd say that's
how,
what you
how
get
the
on
gold
average,
monkey usually operates.
I don't remember the average stats of a minion, but it's like in the 5 range. It's not like the legendaries
it's
aren't
not a
that,
9-drop.
Yeah,
It's not a
exactly.
9
Like
drop.
getting 9 drops is
Insane.
exceptional.
Yes.
Most of the time, especially in control mirrors,
And
often you don't have enough
getting
cards.
getting
typically is
class
good.
legendaries is also.
Well, King Crush is a
We,
thing.
we did not see any class legendaries.
Give me a Grom, give me a Tyrion,
Yep.
give me an Archmage, just to scare.
Archmage.
No, you
not the
don't-
best class legendary, but like Cenarius is pretty insane.
Nexus Champion.
Ronin's
Sarad.
absolutely insane.
Ronin Nexus
Yeah.
Champ.
So
I like Archmage.
so SilentStorm gets to retry on this warrior for a last time, but ElementZero making the comeback.
That's the type of hand you want as well. I mean, there's no Alex Strada's champion, but it's the type of hand
Oh,
that lets
yeah.
you just push and push and push.
You take the hunter every time here.
Oh yeah.
This is good.
When your curve is looking like this, and you might be able to get a turn 6 Divine Crusher on 9/9, I'm doing it.
I don't know if. So do you play your acidic swamp ooze that dies?
You mean the Fairy Dragon?
Yeah. I know. It's
I
like
think
it destroyed a weapon.
I think I coin out the
monkey.
The monkey, just because if he wants to ghoul, then frothing.
I would coin out the frothing. And
mean,
the reason for that is if there's ghoul next turn and
Monkey.
he kills the monkey, right?
Yeah.
Then you play a 2/4 into a 3/3. So if you inverse it, he hits the frothing, he ghouls, and then you
Then
play,
you
a
play a
monkey
monkey
into the
into the
ghoul,
ghoul.
which is just better.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know, with Blood to
Alternative-
Ichor, I'm not sure. Like, it's really tough for me to figure out, but I like the... You'd have to play Fairy Dragon, like Blood to Ichor, in order to make that other turn
And
viable.
SilentStorm, the man playing double copies of Bloodticker, double copies of Slam, double copies of Ghoul. Cannot deal with this. Guys, you're swinging at this twice now.
I think there's a world in which you just wait until you get a good brawl. It sounds kind of weird, but
Yeah.
it's not terrible. Because if you hit well, or even average against Dragon
Yeah.
Warrior, you just defuel
Dude,
the aggression.
I actually like didn't even consider coining a 3-drop here.
Really?
From the other perspective, it was just like, it's so likely that
that dies.
it just doesn't. You just like
Yeah. Well, Blood to Ichor.
like
yeah.
my idea in my head was I'm gonna play this Fairy Dragon to get rid of his Fire War Axe, and then it will be harder for him to kill my Frothing Berserker. But
I mean,
coin
there are
frothing.
two slams, there's Bash, there's Ghouls, there's Blood to
There's
Ichor.
so many cards that deal with it. It's just incredible that SilentStorm currently doesn't have any of them.
Well, he's
And-
setting
and
up
what's
for
incredible is-
removal.
I think it's correct for SilentStorm to swing there because he does need to get rid of that Frothing, but now he can't kill the Frothing and he still can't deal with the monkey.
You just got a Ghoul, baby. There we go.
That's a good one.
That's what I call a setup.
Yeah, that's
Somebody did his work. I mean, if you look at the amount of cards that he drew, any of them and killed the Frothing with, I think that play was... It wasn't even risky, because you rarely even have to swing at it twice.
Yeah.
You very
Yeah.
rarely have to. It's probably in the range of like 50% to kill it outright.
So, couple of plays here. We're gonna call it the standard play, which is play of 3/6.
I'm not sure I like that over just the board-centric approach.
I like the Ichor execute Fairy Dragon.
With Fairy Dragon, the amount of pressure you're pushing is insane. And there's very rare, like there's no Bloodhoof Brave in that deck.
Yep.
There's
And
no thing on 5 that's just going to contest your board.
You end up with like 8 power in play instead of 3,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens is if you play 3/6, his 3/3 trades your 3/3, and you just have 3 power. This way you develop 8 power.
That's a very quick flock
Yep.
you're setting up. And the thing is, you don't even have to extend any more on this. You can
And-
pass your future turns.
And Brawl's not even good.
Yeah, if you just stop putting stuff down.
Brawl is good when there's like a Fire War Axe already up in this spot.
Good pickup
I
there.
think Brawl is still the play. Like
Yeah.
if you Fire War Axe and pass, he's not going to play another minion.
You could execute Fiery, but the issue with that is every single time a bigger minion comes down, which exists in
Brawl's
the
probably
deck,
not getting better.
you're messed, yeah.
And
With 8 power on board and a hero power,
like Dragon Warrior can go ahead and tempo execute your 3/3, but you can't tempo execute his 3/3. Wins
They're-
the Brawl.
it's the best possible outcome.
Yep.
And now ElementZero will be
Oh
giving an
my.
incentive to refuel
But
his
usually-
hand.
For the most part, I would usually prefer to jam a 6/6 here.
Doesn't have the mana.
Oh, all right. I'm skipping ahead.
A little bit, yeah. It's okay though.
Carrot's pretty good here.
So right now, ElementZero, who was ahead on tempo all game, is looking a little bit less ahead than he was. You don't want to draw necessarily. I mean, Curator basically already drew that. Like it already drew out the Finley, and you're looking at maybe getting just an extra dragon, which is good.
There's still one copy of Fierce Monkey in the deck, assuming there are two.
So,
But yeah, what the Editor Rig does, it does increase the chances that you do draw Fierce Monkey before you draw off the Curator.
Right.
Thus losing some value. Also, a 6/6 is bigger than a 4/4. So.
I mean, pressure-wise, you're just clocking your opponent with that hero power, and that's 6/6. Like, you saw Brawl.
Yeah.
We haven't seen 2 copies of it, so that's the last of them, probably. So your 6/6 demands execute plays.
Yep.
Maybe
Couple ways of doing this. It's looking like he's going to go for the full board clear.
I like that play a lot. It's so hard for the Dragon Warrior to remove everything. The Karen is just
so
a nightmare.
hard for any deck to kill Karen.
Yeah. It's been the bane of Warrior for literally 2 years now.
Yeah.
So, no big change.
Honestly, like, you're looking at ElementZero's, like,
Maybe you just
position
start
this
hero powering,
game.
but it's awkward. I think
There's no way you don't play Curator here.
yeah. It forces either a weapon attack, which you're happy about, or a double trade, which you're happy about. So,
Not really.
well, I mean, it's the happiest you'll get. If you play Drake, it's
There's
even
still a
worse.
Yeti.
No, if there's the if you play
No,
Drake, it's
no
just
matter
so
what,
bad.
it's gonna be
Oh.
This is gonna get interesting.
I hadn't seen this earlier. We
Yep,
saw it in the
you-
Mulligan earlier
Normally,
in the series.
Deathwing is now excluded from Dragon Warrior and Curator decks, because what happens with Curator is you draw cards, and drawing cards has like an anti-synergy with Deathwing. That being said,
When you
Deathwing's
draw
like the
Deathwing-
best card in the deck, and you cut it to make room for Curator.
Which is something I don't like much. Maybe this type of list will find. I don't know
What
if there's that
doesn't he
much.
have? You can't. So you're playing 2 monkeys,
Maybe
right?
one Drake. Or Drake.
We haven't seen Pokemon really from him, have we?
We've seen one copy of it. There might.
That's probably not a 2-0 for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
We haven't seen Slam from him.
Slam is definitely out. Curator
Yeah.
Liz just cut the
Yeah.
Slam altogether. Zod's first mate was in there. We saw that. So
Well, Operation Get to 10 mana for a Dragon Warrior. This is quite the extension. All right, so there's that Cork Run Elite.
so how often can you afford?
I think it's Drake and Monkey here.
I was gonna say, how often can you really afford trying to make trades here?
Ooh. Yeah, just be mana efficient.
I mean, try to dump your hand.
Yeah, you want to play all your cards and get any remote value you can get from
Just
them.
like smash your cards down and hope everything works out. That's an okay card.
Yeah, it's
Will it come down to like the battle of the 10 drops? I think so.
yeah.
It seems like it, because right now there's no incentive for SilentStorm to use his own 10 drop. And
He could not Shield Slam, but
hard
like
to
he
not
could have
out-tempo.
double value traded.
Yeah, but when you're looking at this and no way for the warrior opponent, the Dragon Warrior, to clean up his
Yeah.
board, you're thinking, I'm setting up a lethal. He's dead if he doesn't deal with this.
How aggressive are you feeling here? Oh my.
I
You can
still-
play everything.
I think I
That's
just
sick.
play everything, and I don't. I do. I think.
Do you trade?
So
Or do you just go face for 12
I mean,
or
if,
10?
how do you die though? Like, there's no way that the SilentStorm bursts you down for an extra 6 or 7, right?
You're just announcing what you have in your hand. It's great.
And there's nothing SilentStorm can do about it though. Is the hilarious part. Like, there's just nothing.
It's just all face, right?
I mean, you might push face and use the axe as like a value trade to
Eh,
not represent the
all
card.
face.
But I would.
It's like
I mean, you're not
I'm
really
going to go
announcing
ahead and
anything.
tell you what I have in my hand, Noxious. Can you beat it?
I don't know if you're announcing anything, because you might announce Rag in a spot like this, where you're hoping he trades to clean up the board, and then
Yeah.
your Rag might snipe with a hero power.
Absolutely.
So you're not yet giving away every bit of info. SilentStorm's going to have to make...
The thing is, you need to trade because there's just lethal on board. Or do you play Oxyron?
No.
how good are you feeling about your chances? I think you want to keep... I mean, so there's 5 on board, right? Like with the axe and hero power if you trade. So going up to 9 leaves you vulnerable to 4 damage. So we're talking second Korkron.
Yep.
That's enough. A Grom Hellscream. That's enough. So there's a world in which maybe you
By
do
my determination, which could very well be wrong, there is actually not a second copy of Korkron Elite in this stack.
Yeah, that's very possible.
So then it leaves by trading like this, like Ragnaros is going to be lethal as well.
Yeah. If you try to maximize the amount of minions on board, Ragnaros is less of an out. So playing around Rag very well here. Dead to Grom, dead to Korkron. Second Korkron may not be in.
You know, you don't have the execute activator anyways. So even if the Deathwing does show up on your doorstep, you're going to have to Yogg it anyways.
That's one off lethal.
That's just like good enough, right?
I think you should still play it.
Wait,
hero power.
no, that's 8. Oh, that is one off.
Yeah.
Do you kill the Jones or you just keep going for it?
I mean, there's still no
At
lethal coming
this
from
point,
SilentStorm.
your opponent does know what you have. Or do you just like...
I think I just kill Harrison and Fort. Like, how do you kill a 5-4 with this board? You kill Harrison, you kill the 2-2 with your weapon. What does he do? Well, never mind. That's a 1 mana play.
I like it.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
And let the memes begin. Let them be.
Oh! That's insane.
Until. Are you serious?
Triple it order.
Oh, what is this and how is it happening? Infest is irrelevant. Double infest. Well, there's still a win possible for Zero. 9 health, same situation as earlier.
Yeah, just don't die for an eye though. He needs Ragnaros or he needs Grimosh.
Oh my
Alex's
god!
champion does not do it.
Well, he's not quite over. I mean, he could still get it next turn. I still think
he gets 6, 8. So he's going to be 1 off even if he draws the dragon next turn.
I think you just drop it. Like, this is not a war axe. This is a 1-1 weapon.
This technically, this doesn't die.
So
Double Torrent is going to shut that down, though.
Yeah, Rag can still do it. But we are talking about a 1 in 3, and
maybe 1 in 4 if he decides to play a Loot Hoarder, which is pretty reasonable.
Very reasonable play considering there's a high possibility.
He might also just, play Justicar here.
Well,
to try to get out of range in the medium-long run.
I mean, you could go Justicar, Armor Up, Shield Slam, and that's okay.
Armor and Shield Slam are like the same thing.
Yeah.
You reduce 2 or you gain 2, so... this is like very, very interesting. I'm inclined to say that Double Torrent Loot Hoarder is the best play.
What about, I think Double Torrent Armor Up is better.
Armor Up's irrelevant.
Because of hero powers?
There's Hunter hero power, right?
Yeah.
So the only thing hero power, the hero power doesn't block Rag. The Loot Hoarder's better against Ragnaros.
It blocks it over 2 turns, but with Justicar it doesn't. So because you have Justicar, the hero power doesn't matter.
Justicar is better in 2 turns.
Than now, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like this armor up.
Because like the armor up, what it does is if there's no Rag, like you still haven't won. Like that's the problem. If Rag comes out and like if you just hero powers and no Rag comes out, you could still get punished, right?
Bloodtaker is like
one of the good ones.
I think you're looking for something a bit more exciting than Bloodtaker here.
Yeah, but you're still putting your opponent at 7, and you've got 2 minions he's gonna have to trade with. And if he wants to keep those
ElementZero is running out of health as well as like.
Oh, that might just seal it completely, I think.
Hey, the old shield block triple Loot Hoarder turn? No.
Nah, just play it safe. I mean, if you're up to this amount of health, no Ragnaros will do it.
11 Rag is 1 off.
Yep, very well played here. So a Grom into a minion feels like the only way you win if he doesn't have a removal for it.
Yep.
And then you can win if there's no...
There is a second Korkron Elite.
Okay, so the cut has to be a second Drake.
Oh, this is
maybe the second copy of Fairy Dragon.
Maybe there's only 1 Fairy Dragon.
Yeah, I think that is a way to win. He's not dead yet!
Well, he set up lethal with Ragnaros again.
Assuming there's no shield block, but...
Lol.
We know there is. Four Loot Hoarders! I mean, I guess at this point, SilentStorm's the Loot Hoarder. There's like no way he plays those
It's just
yet.
like digging up for this lethal. no matter what this turn now, he has to press the armor up button or, right.
So
And
Grom
just-
cannot get pinged. The amount of health he's got is way too high. There's no taunt. Execute doesn't do anything. This should just be the end.
Oh,
and the
no.
Grom rubbing it in. And
Did you know,
that will
not
be it.
just that Yogg-Saron beats up Deathwing in a straight-up fight? Because that's what I learned today.
You know what I learned recently is that there's no reason to play Doom in your deck if you can play Yogg instead.
Oh,
That's the
absolutely.
number one thing
Yeah.
I've learned. And when
Yeah.
I see Yogg cast Doom on Deathwing, just feels like the culmination to a battle of titans in this event. I'm just happy to see that this control wireless for SilentStorm managed to make it through bare bones. But the thing is, I feel like the last two matches prior to that with that deck ended up being very awkward. Like the draws weren't there. He ran into too many threats and just didn't have what it took from his deck.
I want to go
Yeah.
over that game where he plays Blackwing Corruptor over Deathwing.
Over Deathwing when
That-
he just changes the last
That is such
play.
a tough turn.
Yeah, I think at that point, there's a good chance he won because SilentStorm's hand, the color of it was
I
awkward.
think he had to Yogg the Corruptor at that point.
And then Deathwing comes out,
Yeah.
and suddenly,
I guess we'll never know. But
It's,
that's that one moment, that one decision has such a high impact.
it's
The
absolutely because he drew
Deathwing, the
damage.
Deathwing was so good in the sense that it set up lethal, and in a way, SilentStorm baited him. He's just I'm executing. I know you have Deathwing,
Right.
so play your Deathwing, come at me.
I've seen you play. This card hasn't moved. You've been dumping your hand, going aggressive. There's got to be some kind of Deathwing
I know
here.
you have Deathwing.
Right.
Here's my execute. I can't kill your Deathwing, and
I mean, he had the Infested Tauren. So
Yep.
granted, he would have been able to stop Deathwing without Yogg, but there are
he
ways
could not.
in
There
which
was a Fiery War X up.
right, the weapon
yeah,
being
the
up
Tauren
means
was
that
not
the
good
Tauren died. So if the infested, if the corrupted was played and dealt 3 damage, then suddenly there's a way in which he's forced to either swing into it, which kills him, or he plays Yogg and then gets Deathwing and just gets completely shut down. So I want to see this game again. SilentStorm will be going through with his warrior deck. We'll see more of him a bit later. Until then, we'll be taking a short break, guys. We'll be back for more matches from the quarterfinals. Stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break.